Mary Kay is coming to us today live via the FanDuel hotline as the weather gets colder. The NFL offers stay red hot on FanDuel, and right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. And with that, it is our second Christmas guest of the day. It is Mary Kay Cabot, the Hall of Famer.
Hi, Mary Kay.
Nice tree.
Yeah, you got your tree up ready to
got
go.
Christmas. You got Christmas in order. You told us last week you were working to do it, and you did it.
I'm getting there. I am getting there. There's not really very many ornaments on there yet, but hopefully by the end of the
day. Hey, Mary Kay, I was curious. I mean, there's so many injuries to talk about, but I'm curious about a guy who's been out a while. Jed Wills, I believe, has missed 5 games at this point. With DeJuan Jones out for the year now, they could I can't believe I'm saying this, but they could use Jed Wills back. What is the deal with him? Have we heard any updates on him? Because he's eligible to return at this point, but they haven't, started the clock on that yet. What's the latest on him that you know?
We'll know more when we get out there tomorrow. Yep. But the thing with Jed is I was originally told that it would be probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 weeks. Ooh. And so, they are coming up on 6 weeks. He has missed the 5 games. So they'll have to see how he's doing, as they move forward into this week. But, if it goes along the original time frame, they should be able to get him back for a few of those last games, and that would help them a lot.
Mary Kay, who's, we know that, they have Leatherwood and some other guys. Who's the next tackle up? They got Hudson over there. And he played a little choppy last week. What is your insight on who would be the next guy they call up if they do need a tackle, even if somebody gets injured?
Well, James Hudson will start opposite Jerron Christian. So they are down to their 4th and 5th offensive tackles, and nobody expected that to happen at this time of year. That's unfortunate, and it will be a lot more difficult when they get into the playoffs and they start playing some really good defenses. Right now, that was a pretty, that was not a good pass defense that they played. They're at the bottom of the rung in sacks. They're 30th overall in pass defense. But, it's going to be a little harder as they move forward here. So they're going to have a better situation. They do have Alex Leatherwood on the practice squad. They also have Leroy Watson on the team. And so they've got some backup tackles. But, certainly nobody like a DeJuan Jones. That is a huge, huge loss for them. And it's really unfortunate because he was probably, I would say, maybe the most pleasant surprise of the season.
Mary Kay, when you look at this secondary, I mean, you got Juan Thornhill who goes out, I think in the pregame. Denzel's been out for a couple of weeks. Hopefully he comes back. But they're still managing to get production. Will they all get healthy again? And what's the status on Grant Delpit? I hear he's going to the IR.
Well, I don't know yet if he's going to go on IR, but I was told yesterday that he is actually a candidate for IR. That means that he would have to miss the final 4 regular season games. Don't know for sure if it's going to happen. And they usually try to be pretty conservative with that. If they think a guy can come back or has any chance of coming back before that 4 games, then they're going to go ahead and avoid IR. So that's probably what they're going to try to do with Grant, is try not to put him on there. But it seems like it's a pretty significant groin injury. We watched him limp off in tremendous pain. We know he'll try to do everything that he can to come back. I mean, we've seen injuries just this season where it seems like there's no way a guy is going to play anytime soon, and then he gets back out there. Exhibit A, Trevor Lawrence. So, and Myles Garrett. So, we'll have to see how this goes. But there is a chance that he could miss multiple games.
Mary Kay, we talked earlier in the show about the attrition that this roster has suffered due to injuries. And Charles Davis was on the program. He said, look, that's the NFL. It's a gladiator sport. Injuries are the way of the league. And I understand that. I can't remember a season where there have been this many injuries, particularly to key positions. But I'm going to lean on your Hall of Fame experience here. You've been covering this team for decades. Can you remember a time when the roster suffered this much injury attrition? And we also talked about the tipping point. Like, is there a point where they just all become too much, and there's one straw that just sort of breaks the whole team's back, and they start succumbing to the opponent because of all the injuries?
Well, I think the one straw they wouldn't be able to withstand right now perhaps would be Myles Garrett. That's the one where, you just really would have a hard time replacing him. The second leading sacker after Myles is Obo with 3.5. Right. So, and I think Z has 3.5 now too. So, you just don't have somebody else that can get to the quarterback like that. And I think it would be hard to get very far in the playoffs if you didn't have a Myles Garrett out there wreaking the kind of havoc that he does. So, Obo's got 4.5 now too. So a couple guys are starting to pick a few up. They got 4 in that past game. Myles has been stuck at 13. But yeah, this is a lot of injuries, and I don't really remember, not in a high-stakes season like this, where they had so many injuries, where you lost your starting running back, your starting quarterback, your starting right tackle, and several others. So this is a tough one. But, this team is resilient. We know that. And they're also pretty deep at a lot of positions. So, they've got winnable games coming up. And I don't think that they're going to try to use these injuries as an excuse either.
By the way, speaking of injuries, another quarterback done for the year just broke. Justin Herbert has a broken finger. He's out for the year. So now Easton Stick is going to start for the Chargers, which is a great name. And I think he's like the 54th different starting quarterback, which is mind-blowing. Mary Kay, there's another injury on the offensive line. We talked about the tackles, but Ethan Pocic got hurt. That's been the one thing. The middle of that line has been the rock. So Pocic would be a big deal. What are we hearing at this point? Again, I know you'll know more tomorrow, but what are you thinking about Pocic at this point?
Well, a stinger can be a little flaky. So you have to make sure that you've got that feeling back in the arm so that you can do what you need to do, especially at center. You need to be able to use your arms effectively, of course. So we'll have to see about that. The good thing for the Browns is that Nick Harris was supposed to be their starting center before he got injured, and Ethan was able to step in there and nail down that job. So this is an opportunity for Nick Harris to get in there and show that, hey, don't forget about me. I was supposed to be the starter in this spot anyways. So they have 2 starting caliber centers on the roster. They're lucky to have that. If Ethan has to miss a game or two, they know that Nick can step right in.
Let's talk about the Joe Flacco thing, because there's a lot of malcontents in the national media that are making a huge hullabaloo about the fact that Joe Flacco is back on the practice squad, which they had to technically. Obviously, they have no fear of losing him. They must have an agreement here. But is this the week they finally sign him to the regular roster? And is there any story on this at all? Because it seems like some in the national media love pick on the Browns and they making a thing of this. What say you on it?
It's really not. I mean, it's a procedural thing. Right. If you have him on the practice squad, they have 3 elevations with him. If you have him on the practice squad, then he's not taking up a roster spot. So that's what's happening with that. And he's got 1 more elevation. And so, there's a chance that they will elevate him that 1 more time. And, and then after that, you sign him to the active roster. But certainly, Joe's not looking around to sign somewhere else right now. That is not going to happen. But, I don't know why people are making a big deal out of this, to the point where I'm probably going to have to write a little explainer about it. But, it's just, as Kevin said yesterday, it's nothing to worry about. It's just, roster bookkeeping.
Mary Kay, and I'm in the streets all the time. I'm walking around. I'm in the grocery store. I'm out here. And they pull me over to the side. They say, G. Bush, why does it look like Joe Flacco is more comfortable with Kevin Stefanski than Deshaun Watson? Why does it look different? It looks like it's smooth. He's been here 2 weeks. I can't tell him. I'm like, maybe this is the offense that Kevin really wants to run. If someone asks you that question, why do you feel that it's he just got here, he has a 300-yard game, 3 touchdowns. Why does it seem like it just seems like those two are meshing when Deshaun and Kevin weren't meshing at that level that quickly?
Well, for starters, not to rain on anybody's parade here, but that was the 30th ranked pass defense, okay? And generally, when you have the 30th ranked pass defense, one that is without 2 starting cornerbacks on that particular day, you're going to be able to pile up some yards, okay? And Joe, of course, he's got 15 years of experience. This is his 16th season under his belt. He knows how to take advantage of those kinds of situations. But if Deshaun Watson had been in there, he was going to have a 300-yard game as well. It's not going to be every single week where you're going to find your tight end running completely free and your receiver running completely free. They were able to be overly aggressive in this game because they knew they could get the mismatches. They knew they could get the blown coverages, and they knew that they could pick on and take advantage of a bad pass defense. And that's great. That's what you need to do. I'm not taking anything away from Joe. They needed this confidence booster. They built up confidence chips. David Njoku needed some confidence chips. He needed to know that he could catch some touchdown passes and add to his total, and that will help him going forward. Joe needed to know that, that he could put some points on the board like that and, kind of warm up a little bit before you get into some tougher games and against some tougher defenses. So, to think that, that it's just another opportunity. Deshaun is never going to get the benefit of the doubt from people. That's just never going to happen. But to think that he couldn't have put up 300 yards on this pass defense, that's pure folly. He would have done it too.
Mary Kay, I need your unbiased opinion on this question. You have one vote, and your vote matters, and it counts. Who's coach of the year this season?
Oh, that's a good one. I've been thinking about this today, trying to think if I was going to write something about it or not right away. But I mean, why not give it to Kevin right now? I mean, he's down to his 4th quarterback, and they are at 8-5. They're the number 5 seed under very trying circumstances. And it's just funny because, fans and talk media and talk radio and all that kind of stuff always has him on the hot seat. But he's doing a great job this year. And it's hard to hold it together when you lose as many star players as he has. And there was so much uncertainty even when Deshaun was in the lineup of, was he going to play? Was he not going to play? There was just, it was hard to have to throw DTR in there against that Baltimore Ravens team and, just 2.5 hours before the game. So I would go with Kevin. I can't think of anybody else that would deserve it more than he would right now.
I think it's crazy that he's so far down the odds. I got to see the updated odds this morning. But it's crazy to me that he wouldn't at least be top 2 or 3. I see Mike McDaniel ahead of him. I love Mike McDaniel, but Mike McDaniel's got one more win, and they've been like the healthiest team in the league. And he's playing in and for all the talk about the AFC North being disappointing, you look now, every team in this division is over 500. It's the only division in football. So he's done it with all the injuries in a good division. He should definitely be.
To be able.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mary Kay. Sorry.
Yeah. To be down to your 4th quarterback and doing it, that's a little different than, to be working with Tua all season long. So I definitely should be right up there. And maybe if he can collect a couple of more victories, which they will, they're going to win more games, obviously. Once he gets a couple more, maybe he'll start to get in the conversation, but he should be in it right now.
Mary Kay, looking forward, obviously everybody's playing the schedule game. That can be a dangerous game to play. But the log jam in the AFC, to think that we're 4 games left and there are 11 of the 16 teams that are over 500. I can't ever remember where it went that deep. As you start handicapping who these wild card spots are going to go to, all of the 7 and 6s, who presents the biggest danger to the field as a 7 and 6? Is it Pittsburgh? Is it Cincinnati, Buffalo?
Yeah, I would say, I tend to go with the quarterback centric teams. So I would say that you're probably going to want to be wary of Buffalo. Would be the one that I would probably think of the most. But, now you can't rule out Cincinnati, right? No. I mean, it's pretty incredible what they're able to do with Jake Browning. And, that's going to be a big game at the end of the season with them. That it could come down, to that game in terms of what's going to happen in the playoff picture. So I would be concerned about them for sure. Pittsburgh, they sort of feel like they're on a little bit of the decline to me, just in terms of what they're able to do with their quarterback situation. But yeah, I mean, Indianapolis, the Bills, anything can still happen with some of these teams, and that's why the Browns have got to keep winning. They've got to keep, they've got to keep it up. They can't let up. They just, they've got to be careful about the turnover battle, because that's the great equalizer. When you should beat a football team, that's one thing. But if you're going to be turning the ball over, which they did 3 times in this past game, then you're not going to be winning those games. So they've got to be very careful about that. And also, I mean, you've got Denver, you've got Houston. I mean, these are teams that, that definitely could creep up on you.
Mary Kay, when you look at it, the Browns, I don't know why it is. Shout out to the fans that go, and I've been trying to challenge them for a lot of years to get that home field advantage. The Browns are a different defense when they play at home. I mean, they're lights out when they get turnovers at home. The crowd is loud. Is there any, I know a small chance, is there any way that you see the Browns could potentially get a home playoff game in the playoffs?
They have to win the division.
They do have to win the division, but stranger things have happened there too. Okay. Yeah. If they win, if they just keep winning, and every single game that they have left on the schedule is winnable. You know it. I know it. These are winnable games. If they keep winning, and the Ravens have a really tough schedule coming up. They've got probably the toughest remaining schedule in the NFL coming up. And they're going to have to just be in playoff mode from here on out. But if the Browns win and the Ravens lose, they can do it. And it's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, just look at the Ravens' next 2 games. The Ravens' next 2 games include, I think it's the Jaguars and 49ers, both on the road is what I think it is. Yes. So, just even these next 2 weeks could be absolutely crucial for these 2 teams.
Boy, they caught a break in the Rams game. That would have been so nice.
Well,
then you're talking about a 1-game split, and it's even more doable. But it's doable the way it stands today, for sure.
Thanks, Mary Kay. We appreciate it. Great stuff as always.
Sure. Thank you, guys.